Hello guys and welcome back to another of my classes. So before we even start, I'd like to thank you all for joining my course. I'm really happy and would be really glad to be your instructor for the next few hours and teach you about the subject of quantum computing. So before we even start, I'd like simply to tell you that I'm not a engineer in this field, but I'm a programmer and I know a lot of things in this field. So basically what I did is I created a course about all the basics of quantum computing, so you guys can have a complete introduction about this topic. And we're gonna talk about many things, and you'll see by the end of this course you'll have a brief understanding of what exactly this is. So let's start. All right, so basically what exactly is the goal of this course? So my first goal right here is teaching you the basics of quantum computing. So here we're gonna talk what exactly is quantum computing. We're gonna learn all the concepts about quantum computing. We're gonna talk about classic computers versus quantum computers. What's the main difference? So I'll try to go as in depth as possible to help you guys really understand all this topic, and at the same time simply understand where exactly the world is going and what is the potential of quantum computing in general. Then we're also gonna talk about different mathematical concepts. So basically the goal of this course is really teaching you all those concepts. Once again, my goal is not that you guys become professional in those concepts, but simply that you understand them. So basically we're gonna talk about different concepts such as, for example, complex numbers, which is a concept which is a really important concept in quantum computing. Not only this, we're also going to talk about one of the basic things, the qubit, but once again, this is a really basic concept in quantum computing, and you'll see it's going to be pretty cool. We're going to talk also about different algorithms. So basically in quantum computing, there are plenty of algorithms that exist. Once again, you will not become a professional after understanding them because they're a bit complicated, but we're gonna talk about them, and you'll see they're pretty interesting. We're gonna learn the logic behind those algorithms, so yeah, I'll try to really give you the simplest one, so you guys will be able to understand them and basically understand all the logic behind all this. And finally, we also are going to write some code, so which is pretty cool. We are going to work with Python to write down codes, and we are going to use a tool called Microsoft Q. Basically, we are going to do this at the end of the course. Once again, this is not a programming course, but there is a part of the course that is strictly for programming. So basically, we're going to learn some basic commands that are with Microsoft Q. So I'm pretty sure you will like it as well. All right. So what is the course content? So at first we are going, right now that's the introduction. So basically in the introduction, we are going to talk about what exactly is quantum computing. So I'm gonna explain to you guys what exactly it is, how it works, and everything. We're also gonna talk about all the characteristics of a computing system. So basically everything that is around all this. So this way you'll have a good introduction about this topic. Then we are going to talk about mathematics. So basically in the mathematical part, we are gonna talk about the concept of qubit. So basically what's a qubit versus what's a bit, how everything works, and some mathematics around this. We're gonna talk about vectors. So basically vectors in quantum computing. We're gonna talk about linear algebra, which is pretty important to understand how it works. And we are also gonna talk about about complex numbers. What exactly is this topic? What exactly is the concept of complex numbers? And everything that we know, that we have to know about it to be able to understand quantum computing. Once again, I'm not trying to create professionals with you, because if I wanted to give a complete class, it's gonna take at least 90 hours. Just to give you a bigger introduction. Once again, here it's just to show you, exactly how it works, but just with an introduction, with a basic introduction. And finally, we're gonna compare classic computers with the quantum computers. So mathematically, once again, we're gonna make some basic operations to help you guys understand what is the difference between those two. Then we're gonna talk about different algorithms, so basically different quantum computing algorithms that exist. Once again, I'm gonna give you an introduction about all the different types of quantum computing algorithms that exists, and we are gonna talk about them a little bit in depth. So basically the different quantum computing algorithms, you'll see how it works. So I have a complete part of the course where we are talking about this. So one example would be, for example, the Chor's quantum computing algorithm, which is one of them. Another one could be the Simons, for example. But you'll see we're gonna talk about them in this part of the course. You're gonna like it. And finally, the last thing that we are going to talk about would be an introduction to Microsoft Q, which is a tool that is used with, with Python to be able to perform tasks with quantum computing. Once again, we are doing those tasks in your computer, so we are not using a real quantum computer. But the goal here is really to learn how to write down different algorithms, different quantum computing algorithms on your platform, on your Python app. So basically on your Python text editor in Python with the Python language, for example, in this case with the Python programming language, and using Microsoft Q. So basically you will have access to more commands, and those commands are linked with quantum computing. But once again, we're gonna talk about this when we are going to be at this part of the course. So once again, my goal here, I repeat it once again, with all those concepts, you will have a really strong knowledge about what exactly is quantum computing. But once again, you will have to practice and dig a little bit more to become really a professional in this field. But you will have a good understanding after this course about what exactly is quantum computing. All right, so what you will be able to do by the end of this course, so basically you will understand all the logic and basics of quantum computing. So basically you will understand all the basic concepts of quantum computing. What exactly is it? Everything that is around quantum computing, and how all this works. So basically how a quantum computer works, what is the logic behind, for example, a qubit. So basically what's the difference between a bit and a qubit. You'll understand how calculations in quantum computing works, and why is it more efficient on a quantum computer versus on a normal computer or a classic computer, we can say it like this. You will have a basic knowledge of maths and different quantum computing algorithms. So basically you will have more math knowledge. So in this case, we are going to talk about linear algebra. We're going to talk about complex numbers. We're going to talk about plenty of stuff. Once again, I'm not going to go too much in depth in those things, because once again, for each class that I'm teaching you here in, let's say, 10 minutes, I can make a complete 5 hours class about this topic. So once again, my goal here is really to give you an introduction about each of those topics to help you guys have a better understanding of the concept of quantum computing. Finally, you will have some basic knowledge in programming. So once again, I'm not going to give you a Python course right here, but my goal is really to give you an introduction to Microsoft Q, basically the tool that we are going to use with Python. So basically we are going to program in Python using Microsoft Q. You'll see the lines of code that we are gonna write will be basic commands, but once again, you'll see it's pretty cool because we are going to use some quantum computing, let's say, lines of code, if you want to call it this way, to execute our code. So basically, this would give you another introduction to quantum computing, and you'll see it's gonna be pretty cool to do. All right, so basically, I hope you guys understand this course. So until now, my goal is really to give you an introduction to everything. So once again, thanks a lot for joining this class, and I'm really happy to be your teacher and help you learn more about this topic. So besides of that, let's not wait anymore and let's jump right into our learning.